Today on Wedding Worthy, we're turning the camera on someone who's usually behind it, Pittsburgh native and wedding filmmaker JT Penderville. With a love for narrative-driven stories and a flair for music that's anything but expected, JT captures weddings in a way that's fun, personal, and totally unique. For him, it's not just about the footage, it's about the vibe. Today, he's giving Wedding Worthy an exclusive look into 3 unforgettable weddings he's had the honor of filming. Enjoy.
Hi, Wedding Worthy. I'm JT Penderville from Penderville Wedding Films, based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I've shot over 250 weddings, and I would like to show you an inside look at some of my favorite ones.
You're watching Wedding Worthy, where we believe every couple has a story.
First couple I want to talk about is Nicole and Johnny, who had their wedding in July, one of the hottest days of the year at Phipps Conservatory in Pittsburgh. Nicole and Johnny are a really, really fun couple. During the entire booking process ahead of time, we just really vibed and hit it off really well. They wanted to make sure everyone had a really good time at their wedding. They wanted their personalities to show through the video, and that's something that I really try to capture as a wedding videographer. And something that really kind of stuck out in the day is just how free-spirited they were, and they were just down to do anything for like a portrait session. They were really incredibly gracious to their guests and thankful for them to be there. And just everyone, the vibes were just really, really something special, and everyone was just so happy. But the day was extremely hot. It was one of the hottest days in Pittsburgh. Their ceremony was in direct sunlight, no shade anywhere. So I remember the officiant basically just trying to be like, hey, we're going to kind of go through this really quick so no one melts. And, it still ended up being a really pretty and beautiful ceremony, but it was just kind of nice that they were like accommodating to their guests from getting them out of the sun as quick as possible. They wanted like a nice outdoor wedding with kind of like a kind of garden party vibe, I would say, being at Phipps Conservatory, which is like, if you're not from Pittsburgh, obviously it's kind of like a botanical garden. Their reception was under a big, really gorgeous tent. So we did get some shade later in the day. And all of their portrait session pictures and video were taking around the grounds, the property outside. And it's a really, really nice greenhouse building, as you can see in the video. There's a lot of things about this video that are my favorite. One being that I ended up renting a couple kind of unique lenses for the video, and not to get too technical or anything, but I did rent some cinema glass, as we like to call it, and just the overall look of some of the portrait session stuff during the sunset is really, really, I consider pleasing to the eye to look at, just the way that everything kind of fits in focus. But my favorite shot, I think, was we kind of planned it out ahead of time where we did some stuff during the day. And it's kind of a simple shot, but we did this like kind of hand motion during the day, and I framed it exactly how I would shoot it again at night. So when I went to edit the video, planning this in my head, I could cut from like a day to night shot, and that's in the video. You can see it, and it's kind of like a quick cut, but it's the same framing. It looks really cool and interesting, and it's like I turned the lights off, or I turned the sun off. So something unique at the wedding, Nicole, the bride, she works for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And because of that, she kind of has like this unique in with the organization, and was able to get the mascot to come to the wedding, to the reception. And I felt so bad for this guy wearing this costume, because it's like 90 degrees outside. He has this, full, mascot costume on, probably no air conditioning inside of it. And he's just sweating and dancing on the dance floor. He's also joined by the mascot for the Pittsburgh Penguins, which was pretty fun because they're dancing around with the kids and everything. And I just thought that was like a unique touch, and I haven't seen before at a wedding. And their guests really, really thought it was pretty fun. I really like to get to know my couples that I work with and clients that I work with probably a little bit, deeper than most. I only take around 25 weddings a year which I don't know if that might sound like a lot or a little to you, but it gives me enough flexibility that I can meet with everyone and talk things through and get an idea what their vision is and kind of what they want. But, they also hire me because I have like a very certain aesthetic and style to my edits and filming. And so we kind of combine all that and we kind of collaborate together. So something that I do is I really try to meet with everyone ahead of time, like whether it be for just, a coffee or a beer or something, just kind of keep it really casual. But these are things that are kind of hard or difficult to quantify, but it does really help me get to know the people. And, they might find it like weird maybe at first, like, oh, the videographer wants to meet with me. Like, he's just a videographer. But really, it does help in the long run. So specifically for Nicole and Johnny, we met for a beer because that's just kind of like their vibe. They just wanted to kind of hang out with me. I think we spent, I think we allotted maybe an hour together. We were together for like 2 hours, just, hanging out, talking, learning about how they met and their families. And, it was just a really good time. And I felt that we like really hit it off. And by the time I go to film their wedding, we're just like friends, and that also helps too with people who are uncomfortable on camera, like myself right now. But to get to know the person that's behind the lens and to know that you're, kind of safe with them. You're not like, they're not going to make you look bad no matter what. But that really, I think, allowed them to open up even more and feel super comfortable. So it was just, like I said, kind of a bunch of friends hanging out. And, I was just capturing the day and trying to get as much stuff on camera as possible. And I think that's like a really important thing for me that sounds kind of, maybe it doesn't sound as important, but I really do enjoy getting to know people, and that just really translates well for me in the edit. The next wedding video features Mandy and Dylan, who had their wedding in December at Seven Springs Resort in Pennsylvania. It's a ski resort. So something that really stood out to me for this wedding is the complete opposite versus last wedding. This was in December, so it was a lot colder, but we had the most amazing kind of like light powdery snowfall during the ceremony that you pretty much couldn't plan unless you're like on a movie set with like, the snow machines going, but it just looks so pretty. And that's just, I think anyone who's ever seen the videos always kind of commented on that, like the bride walking down the aisle and this like snow coming down. And I often get the question, did you add that in after the fact, like with CGI or something? And I'm like, no, that's real. It's real snow. This wedding, they initially booked a venue closer to Pittsburgh that was not at a resort, and it was a different date, but they ended up wanting to move the venue to, the ski resort because it's really, really pretty there. And they ended up keeping both dates available. So kind of long story short, they had their main wedding day at Seven Springs. And then a couple weeks later, they had kind of just like a reception, and they were able to invite a lot more people. The second venue is this place called Mansions on Fifth, which is right in Pittsburgh. It's this old kind of mansion and kind of a different aesthetic, but it worked for them, for both of them. And I remember Mandy putting on this kind of white, like, pantsuit type of thing, and she just looked awesome. And Dylan was just like, they're just both great on camera too. So I really enjoyed being there for both of them and all of their friends and family. It was really, really something special. So one of my favorite scenes from the wedding was their ceremony, actually. It's just right outside, kind of on this stone patio. And again, it was, because it's in December, I think it was probably around 5 or 6 o'clock, but by then it's dark out in Pittsburgh, or the Pittsburgh area. I just remember not only the snowfall being like really, really pretty and like kind of like this is unreal, but they had just like a mountain of candles everywhere, and it kind of just lit the place up like in like a very unique fashion. As you can see in the video, it's like dark, but it's got the candle vibe and the mood. With the snowfall, kind of just is a really memorable wedding for me. Even though, I kind of filmed it a few years ago, it still always sticks with me. So kind of going back to just wanting to be available to each client and a couple I work with for a wedding, I want to meet them where they feel kind of comfortable talking with me. So I always have the option, ahead of time, like, hey, do you want to just have a phone conversation, like a group call or a video call, or, you know, in case of the last wedding, I met them in person for beers. Mandy and Dylan, we ended up kind of just chatting a lot on the phone back and forth. And it was not like this one specific day where we kind of set aside to talk for 2 hours, but like specifically like Mandy and I were chatting and texting back and forth for probably about a year. You know, as her planning process was going, I was checking in and she was asking me questions about like what was doable, what wasn't, like how would this be captured, and, you know, just giving her all the answers and, you know, keeping her confident in her decisions about like her vision and everything. And, you know, so I didn't really actually get a chance to meet them until the day of their wedding, but by the time we got there, because we had been in such close communication for a year, again, just kind of felt like friends, just hanging out, and we had a great time. And then again, a couple weeks later, to go back and kind of do like the after party reception. You know, they were trying to get me to drink beers and stuff, and I was like, no, I gotta work, I gotta film. But it was really nice that they, you know, they kind of considered me like a really good friend at that point. With wedding videography, you get a different feeling and vibe watching yourself like interact with, you know, a parent or grandparent or other loved ones, friends on video, and to have certain moments captured, like a first dance with a parent, or, you know, a ceremony where something kind of happens that's really personal, and to have that forever captured is something to look back on when someone is, you know, not here anymore or passed on. And I know I'm a little bit biased because I'm a wedding videographer, but those are like kind of moments that you don't get back, and it looks and feels different on video than a photograph could ever kind of capture. This next wedding video is for Anastasia and Yanni, and they got married at a Greek Orthodox church in Pittsburgh, and their reception was at a venue called Circuit Center. And what made this video kind of special is that they had a very, like, it's obviously a Greek wedding, so it was one of my first ones I've ever filmed, and man, they had a party. So this wedding, very unique for a couple reasons. A Greek Orthodox ceremony there's some similarities to like a traditional Western religious wedding, like a Catholic ceremony. But what's kind of unique about a Greek Orthodox wedding is the couple, when they're up on the altar, they don't really look at each other. They don't turn sideways and hold hands. I think they are holding hands, but they're never like kind of looking at each other. And the priest, they do a lot of chanting and singing basically for almost the entire ceremony. And there's a couple of cool little unique moments where they do something with like these crowns that they put on, and they flip them back and forth 3 times, and they do that with the rings 3 times back and forth. And then they also walk around this kind of like table 3 times. The only kind of time where everyone can kind of see their faces is when they're walking around this table. So I remember getting to the ceremony, and the priest was like, "Just so you know, when they walk around that table, you got to make sure you're zoomed in, because that's the only time you're going to see them smiling. Because other than that, you're getting the backs of their heads." So it's a little bit more of a challenging shoot because of where we place cameras and everything. But there's always ways to kind of like move around a little bit without being distracting to the guests, and also get really good footage. And I mean, the church was beautiful, so that really did help. But another thing that kind of was really special about this was the reception, which is they met on an island called Ikaria, and it's in Greece, and they wanted to kind of bring that vibe from that island to the reception space. So as you'll see in the video clips, they really went above and beyond with the decor and the aesthetic. They even put these projectors pointed up at the ceiling that kind of played these like loops of video, like of like water and blues and lights, and they did a lot of playful things with different lighting. And I think it was one of those moments when you first walk in, and like as you see in the video, their reaction to how the planners and how the florists and everyone and the rental companies came in and put this together for them is just like kind of breathtaking. I know, and like I walked in and I was like, oh, there's a lot here. I better get busy filming some of these clips. So one of my favorite scenes and shots in the video was actually at the reception. They had about, I want to say over 300 people there, maybe 350. I can't quite remember the number, but it was packed. It was a big space, and you needed to have the space for it. But they had a live band play, basically like a lot of Greek music. And they kind of do this, if you've ever been to a Greek wedding, they do really a lot of dancing. It's like a really good party vibe. So they kind of do this big circle, and it's kind of a spiral at some point, and everyone's just kind of locked arms together, shoulder to shoulder, and they do this dance kind of back and forth. And when everyone kind of gets in sync together, it really looks cool on camera and everything. And they're having a great time. When I was filming that, I kind of had seen a few other videos before of other people doing these weddings, and I kind of didn't know what to expect. But to see that many people just having such a great time and kind of in sync dancing and capturing that, super cool. And I love a packed dance floor, because I really try to make my videos like really fun, especially towards the end, like the act 3 of the video. I really want to show people having a good time, and that makes my job a lot easier when people are actually having a good time at the reception. Thank you so much for having me, Wedding Worthy. It was a lot of fun to reminisce about some of my favorite weddings.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wedding Worthy for more.